Hello and welcome to South Bay Sports Radio. Here's your host, Nick Ingram.
And we are back with another episode of South Bay Sports Radio. Today we have one of the co-founders of FLAG, the Foundation for Learning and Growth, a graduate of Redondo Union High School, and somebody that gives back in a way that a lot of us can really help to do. Please welcome Mr. Adam Deierling to South Bay Sports Radio.
Hey, Nick, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you again, sir. I know we've had a couple technical difficulties in the past, but I think this is definitely a positive thing for the South Bay to know how they can get involved. But let's start there. Your foundation, the Foundation for Learning and Growth, how can people get involved?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to get involved is make a donation. And that just sounds like I don't want to just give you money, right? We get that all the time. How can I come to your events or get involved with the communities that are your beneficiaries and so forth? The easiest thing to do, because that's complicated. We're dealing with children a lot of times veterans. So there's kind of an entree into meeting these people. The easiest thing, probably go to our website, reach out to myself or my partner in this, Christian Sorensen, and we'll connect you. We have, I don't know if you call it hundreds, but tens of, maybe hundreds of people that get involved in our events. The ultimate goal of those events is to give to our beneficiaries, underprivileged youth, military veterans, their families. We also help a battered women's shelter. So we are just setting up and set up to give back to local people in need. And everything stays very local. We're a 501c3. We don't take $1. 100% of all proceeds go to those that need it, not us. We just do our time and efforts and our own community that jumps in and helps. It's all giving, right? And at the end of the day, the beneficiaries need it and are very deserving of it. So best way is reach out to one of us. All that info is on our website.
And that website is flagcharityfoundation.org. That's O-R-G. Be sure to check them out. You guys recently went on a walk, you and a group of friends, and there's a former principal, there's a current baseball coach at South Torrance High School, where you guys walked from the South Torrance area to Dodger Stadium. This is the second year that you've done it. How much of those proceeds go to your organization and go to help these underprivileged youth and the veterans and their families?
Yeah, again, 100%. I mean, this started organically through a group of dads that we're all neighborhood friends, so to speak. You referenced some of the roles those men have in our community. All a bunch of middle-aged guys, and it started as a walking club. And then we just said, hey, let's go challenge ourselves, and let's not just challenge ourselves for the physical aspects of it, but let's go create some awareness, raise some money for, our biggest beneficiary is a group called Nick's Kids out of Nickerson Gardens in Watts, one of the largest public housing facilities this side of the Mississippi. And a police officer by the name of Jeff Joyce, who has worked that beat for years. He spearheaded this organization to get kids out of harm's way, basically is all it was. He started with a soccer ball and a soccer field in Nickerson Gardens, said, meet me here. I'll make it a safe place for you to play. Over the last 8 to 10 years, that developed into after-school programs, standards that need to be met to be in this organization. Currently, I think there's 51 kids in that organization. Every single child that has entered that organization has graduated high school. That's a remarkable number because most of the kids in that community, less than 50% graduate high school. They go to high school that aren't part of this program. There have been no childhood young women pregnancies in this program. Again, about 50% of the young girls that are in that community get pregnant before they would get out of high school. So he's making an unbelievable impact. Super easy for us to provide him some funding whenever we can. And he's really turning that community into something special. Families are now all involved, community. LAFC is involved. One of the kids out of his community there won an ESPY award, the Billie Jean King Community Leadership Award. They're all a lot of them are going to 4-year colleges. It's insane. What's special about that, Nick, is that's 13 miles from our house or where we left this walk to go to Dodger Stadium. It's not middle of America, third world country, somewhere just crazy. It's right here. So it just fires us up to support because it is so local and because the impacts, you can see them every day in these kids. They're getting out of, they're breaking the cycle, the cliche, but it's happening. It's pretty fun that it's right here. And this officer did it all on his own.
How did you initially get involved with this? What led you to say, you know what, I want my charity organization to impact these kids?
So you have to go back to 2012. I was on a bike ride to UCSB, leaving from my house with a buddy, and we said, "Hey, I'm in the commercial real estate industry." We said, "Let's go have a golf tournament at the local Marriott golf course, now the West Drift, right?" And that was just, let's go have fun. It caught fire early, and we ended up raising, I think, $6,000 for that. And we said, well, let's give this away to people in need, right? How fantastic. We had a fun day. We got support from our business community. Let's go make an impact. Fast forward to 2019, we'd been doing that for many years. We started raising some meaningful dollars, to the tune of six figures, but we were distributing funds through other 501c3s organization. It wasn't it We weren't positive where all the money was going, right? We did some national support, we did some local support for different charities and so forth. And then we realized, hey, right here in our backyard, there's a need. Officer Joyce's twin brother works for my partner, who I started the foundation with, and caught wind of what he was starting. And we said, this is perfect, right? It's sports, it's education, it's getting out of the cycle, and it's in our community. And so we just made our first donation. I think the first year we donated him $35,000 after our first charity golf tournament. We saw what that $35,000 does. What it really starts with is he takes kids out of the public school system and sends them to private school, and we pay those tuitions. And when they started getting that better education of being in the private schools, they just flourished, right? And we're like, we got to get more tuition covered. We got to get more kids into these private schools. And then boom, our business community, the commercial real estate industry, the commercial construction industry, super generous group of people and companies here locally. They just came full force. Now we're raising at the Hack charity golf tournament. We raise somewhere around between $100,000 and $130,000 each of those events. We also have a charity cornhole tournament that we're going to have this year in September at the California Surf Club, new venue for us. They have been fantastic, shown great support and interest in working with us as a partner. So we're moving the venue there, and we'll raise somewhere around $75,000 that day. Again, 100% of that goes to people in need, and the largest beneficiary is Nick's kids. So kind of organic, but that's how it came together.
Now, this conversation, this episode isn't about the amount of money that you've raised, but what you can do with the right kind of motivation, especially when it's for those that are underprivileged. We come from the South Bay where, growing up here, it's easy to stay in the bubble, but how easy is it for somebody to give back? And I know we talked about this earlier, but how easy is it for somebody to help when they're like, I have all this time, I have a couple extra bucks to give back?
Yeah, when it's passion, it makes it easier. Everyone's heartstrings are tugged by something, right? Whenever I talk to people about our foundation, maybe it's right for you. Maybe you feel passionate about what we're doing or the beneficiaries that we're helping. Maybe you don't. But we always tell my kids and their friends, just find something to give back to, right? For us, it's, as I said, super easy. Reach out to us. We'll find something for you to do. Or, if you don't want to do something, you can send money, whatever works. And again, cliche, every dollar helps, right? And so we tell my kids, one in high school, two in colleges, but they've been around this since we started it. They'd give $1 or whatever. The monetary doesn't matter. It's that giving, right? And then once you latch on to that giving and how good it feels, right? And then the local part of that, you can really kind of glom on to, this is happening right, this is helping right here. And I think just when people latch onto that, it's just invigorating, right? Let's give. So roundabout way of saying, if you're interested in what we do, just reach out. We will find some way for you to get involved. And if it's not our organization, find something else. Find something else that you're passionate about, because it makes the days a little bit more meaningful when you have something or someone or something that you can go help a little bit here and a little bit there. It's kind of a jump out of bed kind of feeling, right? So where we are.
There we are. Before you did this walk, the second walk that you guys have gone on, you participated in the LA Marathon, and in order to get yourself a spot, a bib, you had to find a charity organization as the benefactor, and you chose ALS. Let's walk through that, how that happened again, and your friend that was the reason that you signed up for the marathon ultimately.
Yeah, so I guess you liken it to me being a glutton for punishment, as my wife always shakes her head when I come up with these ideas. But it's about a month out from the marathon. My buddy Jim McKechnie, local neighborhood guy, great guy. He was training for it. He told me early on, and I was like, I don't know if I'll do it. Month out, he and I go for a run, and I said, Jim, do you want a wingman in this? And he said, yeah, that would be great. There was still some work to be done in terms of his training. And I said, let's go. So I went to sign up. It's sold out. And so the only way into the marathon, you had to go through a charity organization. Those were the only spots left. And you have to raise money for the charity. And so there were two. One of them was ALS. My cousin up Northern California has an affiliation with the ALS network. So I said, boom, this is great. So I reached out to him. I reached out to the organization. And I said, I'm in. And I signed up. And we ended up raising, I don't know if we were the number one, but we were top two fundraisers in the whole event out of this. And that was, again, just reach out to the local community, say, here's a little bit about what ALS is doing, or the ALS network is doing. If you feel compelled to help, anything will do. It's all going to them. Right. And so I got a lot of really good support out of that I frankly didn't expect. I was planning on just writing a check. And then I said, hey, let's make people aware, right? That's why you do this. ALS is brutal. I went to one event and it's just brutal for everybody involved, families and the person and everything. And so, let's give back, and then let's go be the wingman for Jim in the race. And it's all the way around good. Everything was great, minus the temperature. It was 90 degrees when we crossed the finish line, which made for a pretty brutal day, but we got it done. It was a definitely fun experience.
And then you follow that up with the walk to Dodger Stadium with a group of, we call them shovel to the head, your group of friends. And the distance on both of those, I think it's 28 miles from where you started to Dodger Stadium, and it's 26.2 on the course of the LA Marathon, on most marathons.
It was 24 miles from my house to Dodger Stadium, but we then looped the parking lot to get it up to marathon distance. So, that it's funny, as we're walking by the security, they're like, didn't you already walk enough? And we're like, oh, we haven't hit the number yet. And because we've done it 2 years in a row, they kind of know who we are. This year, they knew who we are, and they're just laughing at us. They don't get it, but they appreciate it.
And they'll see you next year too, I'm sure. But which of the two is more treacherous? I know there's a lot more hills along the walk, especially at the end route when you get to Stadium Way, the Sunset Hill up to the ravine.
Yeah. It's an interesting question. The LA Marathon, I'd done the marathon previously when it was stadium to sea course, and you end at Santa Monica Pier. And that's kind of cool because mentally it feels like it's downhill, and at least you finish along the water. This course has a 8 mile round trip, somewhere 8 mile round trip loop where you just go into Wilshire and by the VA, and it's just brutal because you get to the turn and then you're like, I just ran that. I'm running back to the finish line. So that one is challenging. The walk, we got rained on in mile 6. So last year we were dry and that made it easier. This year, I don't think everyone trained as well. So I'll definitely say this year's walk was more challenging for most than the marathon was for me. My buddy in the marathon kind of started cramping a little bit. So we had to grind the last few miles to get across the finish line. But getting wet at mile 6, I finished that one and had a bunch of blood blisters on the bottom of my toes just from the wet socks and shoes rubbing. So yeah, this year was the Dodger walk was a little more challenging, but we got there. We did it.
And you had said earlier that the wives had met you guys halfway, or somebody had met you halfway with a change of clothes. Grady Sane, the coach over at South Torrance High, had a poncho and he threw his poncho away, and then all of a sudden here comes the rain again.
Yeah. His timing was horrible with the poncho. We kept clowning him. He put it on right after the rain started, so he's already wet. We get halfway, we refuel with our water and booze and all of that. And he goes, I'm the only one wearing this. I'm taking it off. And it started raining like 5 minutes, and he threw it away. So we clown him. He's not very good. Just watch what Grady Sane does. And if he's prepared for rain, it won't happen. And when he's not, it will. That's what we kept telling him.
And that's always funny, especially living here, because I think we've talked about earlier in the past, 40% chance of rain doesn't really mean anything, but then, it's 60, 70%. You're like, all right, cool. Let's batten down the hatches.
Yeah, exactly. We're soft out here. We're weather soft out here.
Yeah, I'm sure that your son's learning that in Tennessee, where 20% chance of rain means a torrential downpour.
Yeah, duck and cover.
So you guys start this in the South Torrance area. What time did you leave and what time did you arrive? And it was a 1:10 first pitch game.
You got it. So we leave at 5 a.m. Kind of the joke in our group. We walk every Friday morning. We do 7 miles and we leave at 5:32 a.m. from my house. So we said, well, let's leave at 5, but really we left at 5:02. It's just over 6 hours. So we get onto Vin Scully, just before 11 a.m. and then we make that walk in. And then we like I just mentioned, we do some loops. This year all the wives showed up late. Somehow they got lost between our house and Dodger Stadium picking up sandwiches. So we ended up we continued to walk because there was nowhere to go. But the bus shows, then we all jump on. The ladies are great. They bring us food and drinks and change of clothes and put on our Dodger garb and hop into the game.
Where'd they grab sandwiches from?
Mendocino Farms. Nice, healthy lunch after
Nice, healthy lunch after a long walk. So walk me through, you guys leave the South Torrance area and you pass by El Camino, but which route did you take? Do you go down Anza to 190th? Do you take Hawthorne? Which way do you guys go?
So we go PV Boulevard, Torrance Boulevard to Anza, to Del Amo, to Hawthorne, to Redondo Beach Boulevard, to Vermont. And then I forget which street we ended up going east to Fig on. But then Fig, and we go Fig until sunset, and then sunset to Vin Scully. And we're in. And, Fig's an interesting part of the walk. I mean, you've got everything on Fig. The ladies of the night, believe it or not, or the ladies of the morning. I mean, they're out we're passing through the first rough parts of Fig at about maybe 8:30, something like that. And this year was a little different than last year because of the rain. But last year there was way more activity. This year there's still the committed ones, out and about, and it's kind of sad, right? Going through that. We just put our heads down. We're friendly to everybody. Everyone, when they see we carry a Dodger flag. So they see the Dodger flag and we get lots of honks and cheers and support. Everybody bleeds blue, it seems like, in this community, which is great. And we have an LAPD escort as well. So when we get to red lights, they get us through those red lights safely, which is great. And everyone's just wondering what the heck you guys are all doing here. And, we'll stop and chat with people as needed and fill them in. And everyone supports it. It's really fun. It's interesting being in that community, but I guess everyone can relate to the Dodgers, right? So we have a commonality there.
Say somebody wants to join you guys for the walk. Say some crazy Nick Ingram guy says, hey, I want to join you guys next year. Yep. What is your message to them to make sure that not only are they prepared for how long of a walk it actually is, but how early it is and how long of a day it turns out to be?
Yeah, I mean, the way that you figure it out is you start walking with us on Fridays, right? And then we'll do a couple training walks, leading 2 months up to that actual walk where we'll go 10 miles, 15 miles, 18 miles. And then so as long as somebody does that, A, we're starting early in the morning, and B, it's a psychological game. All these endurance things are. Once you hit a couple of those milestones, you can tell, we can tell, everyone can tell, are you ready for it or not? We had two guys this year that had to bow out. One is a good buddy that lives in Tampa. It was hilarious. It was 4:50 in the morning. We're all in my kitchen. Everyone's starting to show up. And I look over and I go, oh, hey, Bobby Hire. And then it was like that moment, like, what the heck's Bobby Hire? He wasn't walking with us the whole year or anything. And he's just a grinder. And he said, I'm supporting this, And so that was fun. And then unfortunately, another guy got hives. He started swelling up early, like right by the, a GMC dealership on Hawthorne and 190th. So we called his wife to come pick him up. They ended up jumping on the party bus and they met us and walked in the last mile or two, which was fun. But if you're putting in some time and some effort on the training walks on Fridays, you'll do it. It's not the hardest endurance thing you'll ever do. It's just a long time on your feet. That's what it comes down to. So if you prepare by being on your feet, leading up to it, you'll make it. It's fun. It's easy.
There you go. For anybody that's not named Nick Ingram that wants to join, you know how to get a hold of Adam and his crew. All right. That's going to do it for the serious part of this interview. We are going to wrap with rapid fire. Before we do, I want to shout out our show's sponsor, Barber to You. Eli Lopez and his team get you prepared, whether it is another day in the neighborhood or you need to look nice for that next meeting. Be sure to check out styleseat.com. Eli Lopez, located at 25690 Crenshaw Boulevard. All right, Adam. Last year, we talked about your favorite Dodgers of all time, but I want to go outside of the Los Angeles Dodger bubble. You get to pick 2 players from any era, any team, not Los Angeles. Who are you going with?
The swing kid is definitely one of them. I loved Griffey Jr. He was fun to watch early. Not a huge Seattle fan, frankly, but he was great to watch. And then, gosh, who else would that be? You stumped me. I was expecting Dodgers again, Nick. Can I say Freddie Freeman when he was a Brave? I'm just kidding.
Thanks for driving the dagger in.
I know. We talked about it. I had to poke at you a little bit there. Oh no, man! I'm so diehard Dodgers. You know who was fun to watch was Ricky Henderson. I just like the pizzazz. Like he was one of the first. I feel like just to bring that right now. What we get a lot more of that from the Latin culture and stuff. But he was just fun. You just didn't know what to expect. I mean, Bo Jackson was obviously really fun to watch for that short stint. I don't know. I'll say Ricky. He did some fun things, right? I just liked the energy he brought to the game as a fan.
Ricky being Ricky.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a chance to sit down with anybody in history. Who would it be?
Yeah, it would probably be Laird Hamilton. He's still around, obviously, but the mentality of that guy for what I like to surf. I would never do what he's done, but the mentality to pioneer like that in a sport where you're fighting Mother Nature, who always wins, and he battled physical stuff and he had a rough childhood and stuff like that. So like, I'm always intrigued by mentality of people like that who are pioneers and grinders and stuff like that. It'd be really interesting to understand what he was self-coaching himself to be through those years and how did he keep getting out of, he had a tough family life growing up and that kind of stuff. He had a fortunate, I think it's stepdad, right, that really showed him the ropes. And then I still love what he's doing, right? He's taking care of his body, he's taking care of health. He's concerned about the ocean and, nature and all that stuff. And he lives in Hawaii. I mean, who doesn't want to live in Hawaii? So I'd love to pick that man's brain.
Last year we talked about favorite baseball movies, but I want to hear your favorite sports movies.
Yep. All right. So Rudy is kind of an easy one. Whether that's because I grew up kind of small, I didn't do most of my growing until college or what have you. But I just love that story. I think I still cry. I think we talk like I'll still sit on the couch and cry to that movie all the time. And then a little more slapstick, but fun was North Shore, which was in late 80s. I think it was 87. And it was this guy, Rick Kane, who came from the Arizona wave pool and went to surf the waves of the North Shore. And Jerry Lopez legends were in it. Laird Hamilton was in it. There was no tie there. That's just totally random. But we used to playing volleyball at Redondo High under Tommy Chaffins, his first year coaching. One of my best friends, a guy by the name of Jason Kihara, who's done that walk with us. We just started reciting that movie, and that became kind of the mantra on the Redondo volleyball team to pretend like we're these Hawaiian Barneys, Howleys, whatever you want to call it. So long way around to saying North Shore. And I probably wouldn't recommend watching it because it's no cinematic feat either.
And Coach Chaffins just hung up his clipboard. Yep. He will step away from teaching and coaching at the end of this year. That's sad to see.
He just texted me about 3 hours ago. He said, because I'll go to that, he's having his retirement deal. And we stayed very close through the years. But it's amazing. That's a legend there, hanging him up. He's done wonderful things for that program. He's a good man, too.
Agreed. Waiting to have him answer the call for South Bay Sports Radio. All right. A biopic's being made about your life. Who plays you?
We joked about this last time. I would be so honored if Adam Sandler played me. We look very similar, right? No, I love his movies. My kids can't stand watching movies that he's made. He's in with me because I recite them all, but that would be an honor.
those are movies that my kids have started to watch. And, you know, when they watch them, I go, oh, that's a scene. All right. It just kind of let
You
it.
learned.
Yep. Exactly. And the last one, let's think local, South Bay Eatery and your go-to dish there.
Okay, so I got two for you. One that's great is Tranny's Dockside Station. I think it's probably been open maybe 3-4 years, something like that. It's tied into the other trannies to some degree. That place, everything there is just fantastic. Kind of different, kind of unique. It's a good setting, you know, to go with your spouse or something on a little bit of a nicer evening. But the favorite is lunch at Faux Hana. And they've got the best. Number 19 is their rare beef pho. And I just think they have the best broth of any pho place I've ever been to. So there you go. Hawthorne Boulevard. Go get you some. Right by Torrance. By Torrance Tavern, yeah.
That's 22815 Hawthorne Boulevard, and Tranny's Dockside Station is East 22nd Street in San Pedro by the Naval Base. All right, Adam, I want to thank you again for joining me on South Bay Sports Radio. I appreciate you and everything you're doing for those who are not as fortunate as us to grow up where we grew up. Again, thank you for tuning into South Bay Sports Radio. Have a great day.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you.